Hello everybody, welcome back to The Takeaway. This is the beginning of Season 3 and we're excited to have guests with us, Justin and Reddie and Ndoro from the Eastern Cape. 18 years in Port Alfred. You guys have been serving as senior leaders of Word of Truth Ministry and we're excited to have them with us. And today's podcast is just going to be a conversation around leadership. You guys have spent some time with us and speaking into our teams. And so we're encouraged. We've been encouraged by what you guys shared. And we just want to unpack and have a little bit more of a conversation around leadership. I want to ask our first icebreaker question, which we do with all our guests. And that is, if you had to live off one takeaway for the rest of your life, that is breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh my God.
What would that meal be?
Oh, wow, that's loaded. So we live in a small town where we don't have a lot of takeaway places.
Yeah.
One of my favorite takeaways is Nando's chicken, peri peri, but we don't have it in Port Alfred, so I can't even mention that. So of the ones that we have is Friend House, which sells Chinese food, and I love sushi. So that would be my one. I love sushi.
Nice.
I'm a chicken person, so when you just said Nando's, I think we both enjoy Nando's. Yeah. And since we don't have Nando's, my go-to right now is KFC. So awesome. Kentucky Fried Chicken does it for me. Nice. Yeah.
I can agree on that Nando's. It's been touching my soul of late.
It hits the spot.
Yeah. That when it's properly grilled.
Oh, definitely.
Especially hot. It's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, I love hot food.
I will disagree with the hot food, but I'll agree with the chicken. I'll go as far as that. I cannot handle hot food. But again, thank you guys for joining us. We're so glad that you guys have taken the time to pour into our congregation, pour into our teams. I just want to ask the question in terms of your calling into leadership. What was that moment? What did it look like? God calling you to Port Alfred. Obviously, you guys not originally being from there. Feel free to answer whoever feels.
Yeah. So, I think the calling to Port Alfred was one. It was special, in the sense that the first time God actually called me to Port Alfred, I did not respond. I just kind of felt like Port Alfred was too small. I remember, I don't want to go into a long story, but I remember when I went to spy the land and I got to Port Alfred and I looked around and I'm like, wow, Port Alfred is too small. Having been born and raised in a city, I felt like living my life in a small town was limiting. So I went back to Zim and just kind of felt like, nah, it's not for me. But then within a space of 6-7 months, the situation in Zimbabwe got so drastic that I literally was forced to go back to God and say, what's the next for me? All the people that I knew were leaving Zim. I was a young person, not yet married then, and I was like, wow, God, what's next for me? And he simply said, I've prepared a place for you. And the only place where there was an option was Port Alfred. Yeah. So I just said, okay, God, I'll go to Port Alfred. Yeah. And it's been a ride. I've really enjoyed it. And you can add on.
Well, for me, I was a city girl pursuing a career in marketing. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to do. But I also love Jesus, and I knew I wanted to serve him in one way or the other. But it was something for the future, like in my 30s, when I'm married with kids, that's when I'll consider doing something in ministry, but not full-time, definitely part-time. And then we got married. So I never really envisioned myself doing pastoral ministry. We got married, and I carried on working in marketing in Port Alfred. And then later on, the senior pastors at the time approached me and they were like, we believe husband and wife must work together in ministry. Would you consider quitting your job where you're working and join us at the church? And so because I loved God and I knew that I wanted to serve him as best I could, I quit that job and I joined into ministry. So I often laugh with my friends that, if somebody had told me, say, 20 years ago that I was going to be in pastoral ministry, I would have laughed and asked what they ate for breakfast because it's not something that I saw myself doing. But now that I'm doing it, I don't see myself doing anything else. It's one of those where you fall in love with Jesus, you fall in love with his people, and you don't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing, and it's like whatever he calls you to, doesn't matter, as long as you're there, you're going to serve him, which is awesome.
Certainly.
No, that's great. I've got a question, and hopefully it'll help, some young leaders. If you could go back to your first leadership role, what would you do differently?
Oh, wow. I remember within my first leadership role, when it's your first time, you're very wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
But you think you know a lot, but you don't. I would have shut my mouth more and gave others the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Because normally when you start off, you think you know it all and no one can do it better than you, and you don't consider giving others the same chance that has been afforded to you. So I would give others the benefit of the doubt and allow them the same space and the same grace that was afforded me, and listen more and speak less.
That's a good answer, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything I would really do different, because I had great leaders. When I stepped into leadership, I had strong mentors. So I almost did a lot of what they told me to do. Yeah. So if there's anything that I'll change, maybe a little bit later, where it took me a long time to be myself. I always wanted to be, I wanted to please them. I wanted to be the kind of person that they can look at me and say, wow, you're doing it right. Yeah. So I think if there's anything that I'll change, is stop trying to please people and actually be yourself as you lead. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's a great answer. Those are great answers. I want to ask, in terms of, you guys have been around for about 18 years serving as senior leaders. How do you identify and develop new leaders within your congregation? So within your space in Port Alfred, you did mention it is a small town, and so often you can think, God, I'm limited. This is the resource I have. We have X amount of people, and you mentioned it with with Gideon. God doesn't need numbers.
Yeah.
He just needs an army that's ready to fight and ready to go. So, how do you identify and develop new leaders within your congregation?
Yeah. So one of the things that we have tried to do over the years is to give young people a chance. Yeah. Because I got into leadership early. I got saved when I was 17, like I said in my preach. But I got into ministry when I was just 20. Yeah. So I often tell people that I have 25 years of ministry. Yeah. And they're like, yo, but I started very young. Yeah. And because somebody did that for me, my passion is to see young people become all that God has called them to be. So in a small town, and you nailed it. I was there for a season where I'm like, God, where are the leaders? And then he just reminded me, look at these young people, invest in them. So anyone who loves Jesus and wants to serve his kingdom, for me, became a potential leader. Yeah. And as a result, I'll just invest my time. Yeah. So if you ask us what is our strategy, we identify young and then we just invest our time. But also because we get to lead a church where we have older folk, we were not afraid to ask mature leaders to help us. Yes. So if we didn't know anything, we'll just like, I don't know anything about this. Please come and help us, and then learn from them. Yeah. So that's how we've identified leaders, primarily through the youngsters. Yeah. But the older guys that are doing the work, we just allow them to help us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So just to add to the process, so when we see that this person has got potential, there is more to them than meets the eye. We kind of take them under our wing, and we don't make promises, because the minute you tell somebody that we've got great plans for you, their head gets puffed up. Yes. So we just take them under our wing and we say, we want to do life with you. We want to be there for you. We want to help you grow and just find out where they're at. Yeah. And then we release them to serve in the house. So whether it's children's ministry, hospitality, worship team, wherever, we release them to serve under other leaders. Yeah. And then whenever we do leadership seminars, whenever we do trainings, then we rope them in, like, you know what, we feel there's something, and you can benefit from what we're doing. We want you to go through this training. So we put them through the training, but it happens over a season.
Yeah.
And then, of course, through prayer and just observation as you're doing life with them, and from the testimony of other people. Because, I mean, if you're a person who's growing and you're on fire, others will notice and they'll start testifying like, yo, have you seen this person? Look at what they're doing. And then we realize, okay, you are taking note of what's going on around you, and you have really put your energy into what we've asked you to do. And then from there now, then we have the conversation. Then we say, you know what, this is what we're envisioning. What do you think? And are you willing to go through the next process so that you can be released to be a leader in your own right?
And
carry on. Yes.
Sorry, and the other thing that just really helped us is Church of the Nations. I think there was a shift. When I came from Zim, I was part of a different denomination kind of thing, or family of churches. But when I joined Church of the Nations, their emphasis on father sons and identifying guys that get the heart of the father, that really changed my game. I wasn't, because I think in the beginning of my ministry, I wanted to be this leadership person that is like, let's manufacture leaders. But they slowed me down, but they helped me to build authentically. They like, find people that are really sons, invested in the vision and the heart of the house, and then they will be great.
No, it's tweaked me to a question I haven't prepped, but it seems like that it has to be intentional. It's not something that is just going to just happen. It needs to be intentional, and you're spotting the people, and then you've got to take them on this intentional journey of, you know, releasing them at the right time, and kind of working with them and giving them the opportunity to fail and to succeed, and for them to learn those things. And so my next question would be, I know you kind of spoke to our leaders about this, but what role does prayer and discernment play in your decision making as leaders?
That has been, over the years, it has become
the backbone
of our decision-making process. So even before we go to our eldership with anything, so as you know, in our church circles, we have elders that kind of help us lead and govern, but we believe that God has called us to be the set couple. So God gives us vision. So even before we speak to our elders, we want to pray and make sure that God is in it. So I think, the older we got, I think prayer has become our first response. First response.
And also to just add to that, normally when you look at a person, we, like how Samuel was told by God that man looks at the outward, but God looks at the heart. The heart is covered. You cannot see what's in a person's heart, and they can mask whatever is going on the inside in order to impress you, so that you can give them a position. So which is why we choose to do life with a person, because as we are doing life, just life in general, like we are very hospitable people. We love to have people over for meals and stuff like that. Our house is, my friends call it the roadhouse. You know, people just come in, and as you're just doing life in general, things are bound to pop out. Things are bound to be exposed. And then you start noticing things like, oh, I saw this. Did you hear that? And then, of course, that's where discernment kicks in. You're like, okay, these are telltale signs of this. That needs to be sorted. Just from doing life. If you limit everything to a Sunday gathering or to a training session, you will not see all the things that need to be exposed. But just by doing life, and you are like one eye on the person and one eye on Jesus, and you're allowing Holy Spirit to speak through the relationship as you're doing life with the person, Father starts showing you stuff. I mean, we've burnt our fingers a few times in the past.
Certainly.
Where you see skill. You know, I mean, in a small town, skill is hard to come by, because all the skilled people come to Joburg and the big cities.
And when you find them, you want to hold on to them
for dear life.
You can't even look at their character, because you're just like, we've been praying for a guitarist for a very long time. You are it.
Exactly.
And then later on
then you discover that they are a devil in the making, and then all the wheels come off. So we have learned to take our time. Don't be in a hurry. Trust the process and hear what God is saying.
And I must add that my wife is very discerning. She's very prophetic. So some of the things that she will sense. We can't put our finger onto it. Like there's something off. And if we have that sense, believe me, we slow down the process even more.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, what is God trying to show us? And that is
and that's where you pray for things to be exposed, and God does a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this answers my next question, but if you have anything else to add in terms of, because I think prayer is that strategy. But what strategies help you build trust and unity within the team or ministries that you lead?
Yeah. So I think like you said, I think our primary strategy is prayer.
Yeah.
I said it even in the lesson that I was giving earlier on. That inviting them into prayer. It's like if somebody is serious about God.
Yeah.
You see it in how they pray.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any serious than prayer.
Yeah.
It's like I've got a call in. I'm like, okay, show up in the prayer meeting. And then if you don't want to show up in the prayer meeting, then maybe you're looking for a platform, but that's not necessarily a call in.
Yeah.
So prayer has been very key. And also doing life. I cannot overemphasize what Reddie said around just doing life with the people, because that's how they get to trust us. Because also sometimes we think we need to trust you, but these guys, young leaders or old leaders, they also need to trust us. And unless they do life with us, they don't catch our hearts. So how can they trust me? They don't know me. So we try and spend as much time
I think
as possible.
it's so important, because I think one of our values here is obviously community, and I think a lot is revealed in community.
Definitely.
But when you're in those high pressure situations and you need to now focus, and you guys are on mission and you're doing this thing, it's so hard to kind of like see the trees from the weeds, because it's like, okay, well, is this person being genuine? Do they trust me? Is there unity here? Is this because we're actually just so focused on the task and what needs to kind of get done? And so when there's time and opportunity to have community, and for people, almost like I think like community is such a great wall breaker.
Definitely.
When you guys are just I love using this. It's a strategy. Playing games, like board games.
Yeah.
People's
Don't talk of Pictionary. For the Pictionary.
People's true colors come out, and you realize, okay, cool, because I think there's something about us that when we're competitive, but it's such a great revealer because you're like, okay, cool, I'm not in this situation. So when you kind of have these things where you can start to like relax, and then you can really do get an opportunity to see
who's who in the zoo.
And it allows you to go, okay, cool, there's something there I need to maybe walk out with this person or chat with this person about, and it's a great opportunity.
In our church we call it fellowship and swallowship. So swallowship is eating. Food has got a way of bringing people together, and it's got a way of making people drop their guard. So when you're sitting around the table, when you look at Jesus, he used to sit around the table with his disciples and unpack certain things, like stuff that he would have said to the crowds around the table. That's when he would really go deep with the 12. So we love sitting around the table with whoever we want to do life with, and around that table, that's when we start asking just normal stuff, getting to know one another, and food has got a way of bringing people. In Zimbabwe, we've got a saying, it goes like this: Hukama igasha unozadziswa nekudya, which means relationships are like a calabash that gets filled by food. So when you eat together, there's something special that happens around a meal, and that's when you get to see certain things about people as well, and you get to hear certain things about people around a meal.
No, that's fantastic. I've got a question around missed opportunities. Have you ever missed an opportunity to lead or speak up? And in that moment, or those moments, what would you say was the thing that was kind of holding you back? Because I think we do have a lot of leaders who maybe miss opportunities because maybe they're seeing something and they're being held back by fear or insecurity or something. What was something that maybe held you back, or there's an opportunity, or just speaking into leaders who maybe are held back or feel like they're missing opportunities to stand up and speak out?
So personally, I'm a thinker. I love to think. I live in my head. I love to strategize. And I think I've missed a lot of opportunities just because of overthinking. Like, I'm trying to get this right before I execute.
Yes,
I'm trying to make sure that it's perfect. And there are many things that I look back in my life and I'm like, even if I did it if it was half perfect in my own mind, I would have gained ground.
Yeah.
But many times, I did not. So that's a one thing. And of late, the older I have become, I also realized that I've always just looked at it as I love to be a perfectionist in a sense or whatever, or overthinker. But I've also realized that there is an element of fear of failure.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm overcooking something because I fear it's going to fail. And because I feared failure, I would justify my fear by, it's not yet ready. Let me prepare it over and over again. But the older I've become and the things that we are doing now, where I almost have given myself permission to fail. Like, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail big. These days we dream big, we start things and we just like, well, I'm going to fail forward. And I've realized that I get to do so much more because I'm willing to fail forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's fantastic.
So he's a thinker, I'm a feeler.
Okay.
And because I am very aware of people's sensitivity, I'm very aware of their emotions and things like that. And unfortunately, in the body of Christ, we've got a lot of people that are hypersensitive.
Yeah.
So I'm a straight shooter. I don't beat about the bush. I say it like I see it. And sometimes people take offense. So if I find that my confrontation or my coming to you with a truth or an area that needs improvement has offended you, because I'm concerned about your feelings and where your heart is at, that has often been a hindrance in helping them become better, then I'm like, I don't want to be offensive. I'm just going to back off and ask Holy Spirit to deal with you. And then when you're ready, we can pick this up. And because I'm a straight shooter and most people are not, I'm not afraid to go it alone. So usually I'm like, if you're not going to come because of offense or because you're hypersensitive, then I'm willing to keep going until you finally catch up one day. And that then, stops you from developing people and helping them to come along on the journey.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's good. I think I've got a couple more questions that I want to ask you guys. You guys have been in ministry for a long time. So how do you stay encouraged and avoid burnout while leading others? This will speak to a lot of people who, everyone's got different capacity. And I think leadership does call us, to have quite a lot of capacity to be able to lead people. And so you're either seeing, and I know I said it appeals to people who've been leading for a long time, but I think in my experience, it also appeals to people who've been leading for a shorter time, because I feel like you're seeing guys, months in or, a couple of years into serving or leading, and they're like, I'm tapped out, So how do we, what are some practices that, we can just, put into that just help us, help us do that?
So there are two things that quickly came to mind. The first thing is culture, because I love the way you looked at both angles, like those who have served for a long time and those who are just starting. And I think for the younger generation, those who are just starting, there's a lot of language around burnout now. I think when I started ministry, no one would have ever asked me a question like that. We didn't. What was burnout?
You are in it till you die.
You're called into ministry, my
you
friend.
You die on the job. We don't take prisoners.
So as I walk with the younger generation, I realize this is their language, like burnout, and I'm like, what is that? But the reality is, it's there, and people are getting burnt out. And even us, the older generation, we were burnt out and we didn't even know it. A good example is, like, was it 2 years? When is it back? 2 years. 2 years back, we went on a sabbatical. Took three months out. And for the first time since I started ministry, it was the first time I went on a sabbatical, and I didn't even realize that I was burnt out. Only until I stopped. That's when I realized, like, geez, I needed this. So burnout is real, but what we need to build, I think after our sabbatical, what we have been intentional about in our church culture is make sure that we have a culture that allows for rest. I think that's what God did in the beginning.
So good,
It's like, 6 days you shall work, 7th day you shall rest. So our church culture now is geared towards rest. We force our teams. We've got some teams that have got limited members, but we force them. You serve 2 weeks on, and you must take 2 weeks off. It's just the culture. And when we introduced this, people were actually like, "No, I'm fine. I want to do this." But we said, "No, it's not about now. It's years later. So take it when you don't need it. We don't want you to go for a break when you feel like, okay, now I can't do it." So we've built around culture, and that has helped us a lot to prevent burnout. But in our personal lives, like I said, up until the sabbatical, we were not as we try to honor our weekly rest that we have, but we were not serious about it. But coming out of the sabbatical, we just realized that unless we are intentionally disconnecting, it doesn't happen by itself. So we also try and guard the same culture we're trying to instill in our people.
And then, we live in a world that is highly driven, and success is based on the bottom line. So if the bottom line is not looking good, it doesn't matter how hard you're working, you're just not good enough. And so because everybody is under a lot of pressure to perform, it's very easy to get caught up in that rat race. So when we took our sabbatical, we realized that, oh my goodness, the wheels were about to come off, and we've been at it for so long and not resting in the process. And because we love people, when you love people, you're willing to give your life for them. And sometimes it's at the expense of your own rest. Where you're like, you know what, I know today was supposed to be my day of rest, but because so-and-so phoned and this is what's going on, I need to attend to it. So another thing that we learned within Church of the Nations is operating from a place of rest. So you can be busy doing something, but you're not anxious within yourself. You're not under pressure within yourself. You are quiet within your spirit. And that only comes from being intimate with Jesus. So when you spend time with the Father on a regular basis, that centers you and helps you to operate from a place of rest. So I can be in a task that is very involving, and everybody's wondering what is going on. This is like a vortex. But for me, I'm calm because I'm operating from a place of rest. So boundaries are very important, and setting times of rest are very important. But we learned that resting is not doing nothing, not doing anything. No, you can be at home sleeping all day, but you still wake up tomorrow very tired. Resting is being in his rest. Like how he says in Hebrews, there is still a day that remains to enter into the Lord's rest. So if you are one with Christ, you learn his unforced rhythms of grace, and you learn how he does it, and you learn to walk on water, and you learn to sleep in the storm. You are in the storm, but you're sleeping. Why? Because you're operating from a place of rest.
That's so good. That's so good. One last question, and we can end it there. But what leadership lessons have you learned the hard way, and how did they shape your ministry?
Oh, wow. We'll be here all afternoon, Philip.
Go for it.
You go for it. No.
I'm trying to think the hard way. I try not to regret anything, but there was a time, again, being young, I realized that I think, this is a emotional moment for me, because there was a time we were leading a big move. We're transitioning our school from our church premises to a property that we had bought slightly out of town, and people didn't like the move, and I had to champion, I had to lead this. I had lots of faith for it, but I did not know how to communicate better. I think I spoke in faith, but I hurt a lot of people in the process, because just because something is right and it's the right thing does not mean I'm communicating it well. And I saw a lot of people pull their kids out of our school just because when I went in front there and I say the things the way I say them, they didn't just sit well with the people. So that day I learned the power of words as a leader, and the heart in which you communicate.
Yeah.
So the intentions were right and faith was needed, but the way I communicated offended a lot of people, and I had to own that and say it. So every now and again when I look back, I'm like, if there's one thing I regret ever doing is that day I stood in front of that crowd and addressed them the way I did.
Yeah.
The points were still valid, I still stand on my points, but the way I communicated wasn't good, and that was a hard lesson. And
for me, it's learning to love people with an open hand.
Yeah.
When you are in leadership, you want to draw people who are like-minded so that you can do the work of ministry together. And we are very open people. My husband and I, we're very open people. We love people easily. And if we fall in love with you, we want you forever, you know. And some years back, we had a couple that was really close to us. And something happened in the relationship and they took offense and they left. And that wounded us deeply, so deep, such that I went through a season where I kind of closed myself. And because now they were removed from my life, I felt like I had lost so much after having invested so much, and I had been misunderstood so much when all I was trying to do is be there and be all these things to all men in order to win them to Christ. And so because my hand had become clenched around the relationship, when it was uprooted from me, it felt like my whole heart had been removed. And consequently, I became closed. I found it very difficult to trust people and let people in. And whenever somebody tried to draw close, I always wanted, what are you up to? What do you want? What are your intentions? I became very suspicious. And the Lord had to teach me the art, which is who He is. Love people with an open hand. And know that at any minute it can be removed from you, but the one that must always be present is Him. So as long as everything that I'm doing is filtered through Him and I love Him more than anybody or anything else, it is well with my soul. And that in relationships things can go south. People can hurt you, but you have to sift everything through the love of the Father. And just because you've been wounded, it does not mean everybody who comes is a potential wounder. That everybody who comes is coming with ulterior motives. And even if they are, that is what it's all about, because Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me. The cross is for you to be nailed on. And He was wounded by the ones that He had come to love. Just like Reddie, you got to take me as your greatest exemplar. Learn from me. Never withhold love just because somebody has wounded you. And even if there's nothing in it for you, you still love because that's what I have done. And it took a while, but I finally got over it, and learning to forgive quickly and forgive completely. That is something that I also learned, and just being real.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you that you've come all the way from the Eastern Cape to input into our teams and our leaders, and we're very gracious, and we continue to pray and trust that God will continue to work in and through you guys, and that we would see a wonderful thing. I know He's doing something great in that small town, but it's for a big reason.
Amen.
And so
thank you.
Thank you again for sharing with us, and thank you for joining us and being a part of this podcast. Hope you've been encouraged in your leadership journey. I hope that we see you again soon in the next episode. Be blessed. Cheers.